Today's video is a little different. It was inspired by a comment from one of you who asked a very powerful question. This is such a crucial question because it perfectly connects the two concepts we've been exploring, the persona and the shadow. So if you've ever felt like you're always the joker in a group, not necessarily because you want to be, but because you feel you have to be, we're going to break down why this happens and what you can do about it. First, let's name this mask. In Jungian terms, this is a specific type of persona. We can call it the jester or the entertainer. It's the role of being constantly funny, lighthearted, and deflecting with humor. Why is this mask so common for social anxiety? Because it's incredibly effective in the short term. Laughter is a powerful social glue. When people are laughing, the tension drops. For someone with social anxiety, that tension is the core of the problem. So the Jester Persona becomes a brilliant survival strategy. It disarms threat. It makes you seem non-threatening and likable. It controls the narrative. You steer conversations away from deep, personal, or potentially judgmental topics and towards safe, humorous ground. It hides the real you. It creates a barrier that prevents people from seeing the insecurity, self-doubt, or fear you might be feeling inside, your vulnerable, true self. The problem isn't humor itself. The problem is when humor becomes a compulsive shield. When you feel you can't be quiet, serious, or vulnerable for a moment because the silence might feel dangerous. This is where the shadow comes in. Remember, the shadow isn't just bad stuff. It's everything we feel is unacceptable to show. The more brilliant and always on your Jester Persona is, the more you are stuffing into your shadow. To maintain the funny person mask, you are likely repressing your authentic boredom or disinterest. You feel you have to be on, even when you're tired or the situation is dull. Your serious thoughts and opinions. You might fear that your real ideas are stupid or will kill the mood, so you silence them. Your sadness, fear, and vulnerability. This is the big one. The Jester Persona cannot show weakness, so all your genuine human struggles get locked away in the shadow. Your need for connection. Ironically, the constant humor can create a surface-level connection while preventing a deep, authentic one. Your real need to be seen and accepted for who you are, not for how you entertain, goes unmet and becomes part of the shadow. So the cycle is, anxiety triggers the Jester Persona. The persona represses vulnerability into the shadow. The unintegrated shadow fuels more underlying anxiety, which makes you rely on the persona even more. It's a self-reinforcing loop. So, how do we break this cycle? The goal of shadow work here is not to stop being funny. It's to move from compulsive joking to conscious humor, to make it a choice, not a prison. Here are two practical steps. First, you need to catch your jester in action. Tonight, take your notebook and ask yourself these questions. Be brutally honest with no self-judgment. In what specific social situations do I feel my funny mask click into place automatically? For example, work meetings, family dinners, dates. Next question, what am I afraid will happen if I stay quiet or serious in that moment? For example, they'll think I'm boring, there will be an awkward silence, they won't like me. And the last one, what part of my true self did I hide behind the joke today? For example, I hid that I was feeling sad. I hid that I actually disagreed with them. I hid that I felt insecure about my job. This alone is powerful shadow work. You are shining a light on the mechanism and naming the hidden parts of yourself, the shadow that the mask is covering. This task is so that your consciousness remembers this when this uncomfortable situation occurs. Theory without practice is useless. The next step is to conduct small, safe experiments to reintroduce your shadow to the world. Choose a low-stakes environment, maybe with one understanding friend or a small group you feel relatively safe with. Your goal is not to be silent and gloomy all night. It's to withhold one joke, just one. When you feel the urge to crack a joke to ease your anxiety, pause just for a moment. Take a breathe. Take one conscious breath. In that moment, you break the automation. You are no longer a puppet of the habit. After the breath, you can still choose to make the joke, but now it's a choice. Or you can simply let the moment pass. This alone is a revolutionary act of reclaiming control, and observe the result. What actually happened? Did the world end? Did the conversation continue? Did anyone even notice? Most likely, nothing catastrophic will happen. This teaches your nervous system that it's safe to not always be the entertainer. Then you can try expressing a small, authentic thought instead of a joke. There is such an in at work that I don't have time to load the wheelbarrow. Ha ha ha. Try a simple, real statement. Work has been quite demanding lately, but I'm managing. It seems small, but for the jester, this is a profound act of authenticity. The ultimate goal here is to reclaim all the parts of yourself you've exiled to the shadow. Your quietness, your seriousness, your vulnerability. When you integrate these, something amazing happens. Your humor changes. It stops being a shield and becomes an authentic expression of your joy, rather than a tool to manage your fear. You move from being the jester to being a whole person who sometimes tells jokes because you will consciously choose the moment in which you want to tell it. And that is when true connection becomes possible, when you allow people to see the real you, not just the mask. Big thanks to Ryan, who sent this brilliant question. And to all of you, this work is challenging, but it is the very heart of individuation. If you try these exercises, I would be honored to hear about your experience in the comments. What did you discover about your own jester? Let's continue this conversation below.